Alright. Should be set to go. Promoted the stream everywhere. I have all the maps in a folder. Didn't find a good way to get Discord to show up, so I'm just gonna have to read the descriptions. Follow along. So let's remove the overlay. There we go. So, welcome. Anyone watching on YouTube later. What I'm doing here is I'm going to take a look at all the contest submissions for the Terra Nova Duos map scripting contest, and then after that we'll take a short break and then look at all the ones for the Resurgence contest, some of which will be the same maps, but we'll take a look. I'm doing this partially out of my own interest too, because I actually didn't have the opportunity to really look at many of them before, so I just wanted to take a look, and maybe I can provide some feedback too. I know there wasn't really much feedback or any from the people who judged it, so some people might appreciate having some feedback on their maps. I'll see what I can do. To begin with, we're going to go Terra Nova Duos. We're going to start at the top of the submissions list. I didn't find a good way to put Discord to get it to show up here. I'm going to show, I'll have Notepad show up though, bam. And the first submission here is African River. So we are going to go grab that. African River is... By the way, let me know if I'm too quiet or too loud or something. Should be listed here. What's it called? M African River. M. There we go. Got it. And should be under M. There we go. And there we go. Let me just read the description here. Inspired by African waters by Crozini, players start next to an oasis, shallow terrain, where a lot of free food is available. Food start can be further boosted by deep fish, which are located in the 4 outer ponds connected by a shallow river. So do we see those features? In the middle, we start with... Well, we start next to some fish, some shallow fish. We have some water buffaloes. We have zebras really close nearby too. We start with a rhino right under the TC. There's a lot of food. Quite a lot of food. And the berries there too. But players start very close together. So there's definitely the option for early aggression. In Feudal, you could have demos or fire galleys or run around this circle. You could tower, although a lot of the food you can just bring straight to the TC. You could tower the berries, but that's not even that big of an issue. What else have we got? And then there's these outside ponds where definitely, if this were played, that would probably be meta to send out, probably go and dock that as well, just to get your eco population up by building fishing ships. So yeah, definitely lots of hybrid fighting is what we'd expect to see here, probably. And let me just take a quick look at the script itself. Interesting, there's some placeholders. I'm not gonna do like super in-depth feedback on the script itself, scripting itself this time around, because that would just take too long. Yeah, it looks solid. Let us take a look at the next map. And it's very static layout though. You more or less you know what to expect. Lots of food. Lots of food. Lots of food. Alright. The next submission was Aguadona for the Americas. So let's select that one. It's under M as well. And we'll open that. We can close African River since we finished that. If we see too many things in the player setup that change attributes of things, then we'll have to restart the scenario editor just so we don't mess up future scripts, but overall things look fine. So what have we got here? I'm seeing a lot of water. Let's take a look at the description for this one. Mangrove, yeah, it's a mangrove jungle. Translated as water donut, the map contains 2 mangrove areas. Yep. There's no fish but 4 shore fish per player instead of berries. So Navy is mainly about map control. This is interesting because often the problem is on maps like this, if there are fish, just ships are absolutely dominant. Even so, ships are really good because they're just superior to land units for the cost. There we go, those are the berries replacement. Basically you have a water donut. There's sort of a map in Mega Random that kind of does this. It's slightly different, but they've definitely played on that one a couple times. Yeah, it's basically a mangrove donut, and you also have to choose, I suppose, if you want to go for the middle or the outside if you dock. Or when you want to dock at all, since there are only these fish, which you probably just gather with villagers, to be honest. You build your mill on it. Alright, let's take a look at the next one. The next one is Fish Beach. These are all by the same author, so now we're going to go for Fish Beach. There we go. Ooh, that looks fancy. And let's also open up the script for Fish Beach. Fish Beach. Yeah, so the main thing that we need to watch for some of these... This one is changing the terrain ID of gold again. I think after this set we'll probably reload the scenario. Lots of placeholders and so on. Script is mainly for interest. If we decide to look at something specific, we probably won't. But let's take a look around. We have this very nice looking center Badlands Hill area. We have shorefish in this middle area. I like the visual look of this one, actually, I've got to say. We have reeds here. The outside we have mangrove again. See lots of mangrove. This mangrove area does have fish on it. Alright, let's take a look at the description for this one. Fish Beach. No, we just had Fish Beach, didn't we? No, this one here. It's another mangrove jungle. Deep fish are located in the outside. Yep, shorefish are located in the middle. The middle is supposed to be a reef. Ah. Stone is spread out along the outer shoreline, while extra gold can be found in the center. On the beach, tiny forests of reeds containing only 50 wood quickly become inefficient. And make it so that players need to migrate to the outside. This is true, these only contain 50. The one thing there is you only have 4 of these forests on the outside. Controlling them could be tricky, you know, if your opponent has a lot of water control. I guess you can wall. I assume none of this is actually... Just do a quick test with yeah. Oh, ships can't go into this section. Ah. That's always good to know. Dockable? Dockable? Oh. Oh. That might be a tactical error. Or intentional. Not dockable anywhere. Let me check the description again. It doesn't mention anything about the water being not dockable. That would be something to look into. If that's not intentional, to deal with that, maybe put some other, make sure there's some other beach there. Yeah. That would be something to look into. For the middle life, that's fine. I mean, I suppose you can just send in villagers, build a mill, that's fine. But out here, I guess you could just have the whole map not be dockable, but that should be in the description if that's the case. kind of a big deal. Let's just quickly check the other ones. We had... This is Fish Beach, isn't it? I assume that the others were dockable. I didn't actually check. Yeah, that looks like... That looks dockable. Yeah. Alright. What have we got next? Next submission on the list is Machu Picchu. And that one was updated. Oh, there it is. It's still under M. We will generate Machu Picchu. And we'll open the script for that one. MMM, there we go. This one has a bunch of constants. Ooh. And is upgrading bushes into rainforest trees. Baobabs into jungle trees. Alright. So what have we got going on? Let's read the description again. If you're watching this, or if you're watching it later, go check. Just go through the Discord. You can read the descriptions yourself as we go along. A tropical themed semi-closed golden hill map with walls like on Fortress. Dense jungle with rock formations and ruins. A lot of gold is located on the mountain in the center. Alright. Well, I see the lot of gold. I see the Gaia ruins. I assume that these have been set to be unconvertible and so on. Like, actually, it's quite nicely done here. Possibly you could have mixed in even a larger variety of units. Maybe some other towers or something too. But overall it looks, looks very nice. Also, I suppose for the architectural style, although that architectural style doesn't work in the scenario editor, so this wouldn't look like this. In-game, this would be like the Aztecs or the Mayans look. This wouldn't be the Britons. So actually, yeah, it looks better. Looks better in game. It's the Incas' wonder. It seems. That looks like the Incas' wonder to me, I think. Don't know my wonders that well. Maybe the Mayan one too. I think it's the Incan one. Alright, let's just take a quick look at the other resources. So we have berries going around. We have more or less a standard resources. Yeah, it's just a very thematic map, I'd say. Nice scenery. Even some waterfalls too. It is pretty cluttered with the white dots on the minimap. That's the downside of using a bunch of Gaia objects. Oh, the waterfalls are always on these things. Oh, that's a nice touch. It doesn't look perfect. It's hard to do stuff like that without making a scenario. But overall, very nice. I think after we've done this, let's see. What's next? Alright, we're gonna load another 2v2 just to clear out any issues. Having upgraded too many units and stuff like that. And this is a 2v2 event. I'm doing everything in 2v2 side. So the next map is called Cogito. Alright. Build cogs, not car. It's basically, I guess it's supposed to be, what would it take for trade cogs to be viable at high level? Is what this map is trying to do. Rivers between the players forces trade carts into dangerous marsh in the middle of the map. While wide open canals along the map's edge are perfect for water trade. The middle of the map is full of neutral golden elephants. Controlling this area with fortifications can go a long way towards neutralizing the enemy's navy. You shall need to sail around to the corners of the map for stone. Okay. Okay. Let's grab, it's not valley, it's under C. There we go. And let's grab the script as well. Are we upgrading anything here? Here, this is why you want a syntax highlighter, because then you quickly see that your AI info map type, not AI map info. Not that it matters, the AIs, modern AIs don't really need that info anymore. Let's take a look though. Can this map successfully make trade cogs viable? So the idea is that if you build trade cards, well, first of all, you have all these wood lines, but also they would have to run through the middle because that's where the connections are. Now, I think other aspects of making trade cogs viable, of course, are having a good lane to trade on. And there I'm seeing some issues with just this generation, for example. Because you take a look, green and blue and green are allies. Where are they going to make trade cogs? And this little river? I don't think so. They would need to control this long edge, which can be contested by yellow. Or here, I mean, here, red could conceivably build something here and yellow migrate down, but as well green can contest that. We're going to take a look at a couple generations and see if it's still like that, but that could be something to consider. Stone in the corners, fine. Stuff in the middle, fine too. The other thing that's necessary to make trade viable is to not have too much gold. Because if there's enough gold for the game to be basically over before you need to trade, then don't end up trading. Just looks like the standard amount of gold, to be honest. Plus some gold in the middle. The question is, would the team that's lost control of the middle be able to trade on the outside to make up for the fact that they don't control this gold? Maybe. I'm a bit dubious there. Here you have clear trade lines. Blue and green can actually trade here. Red and yellow could trade there. And here it would even, because the thing is here, the lands sometimes go to the edge and sometimes not. That's a bit of an issue if you're trying to make something that's, you know, competitively consistent, maybe. Because red and yellow have a super safe trade line. They basically just build castle here, they can trade. And they, as long as, you know, their water doesn't get docked. Blue and green, pretty safe, but you have an extra way around here. And then here, once again, you have the issue where blue and green have no good spot to trade because both of their bases touch the edge of the map. While yellow and red don't have a great trade line either for trade cogs. I think you want water all the way around the outside, always, if you want to make sure that trading is particularly viable. Because right now it's set up so that half the borders touch the edge and half of them don't. Like here trade could be viable with these two and these two. Just probably doesn't quite have the consistency necessary for trade to always be viable, shall we say. Alright, what's our next map on the menu? Shireland. We need S. There we go. And we're going to want the Shireland script. And what do we have to expect here? Inspired by the English countryside, rolling hills, country lanes, reed-lined creeks, forests, and farmland dot the area. Players begin separated by easily crossable rivers and surrounded by farmland containing many neutral sheep. Hedges surround the farms and can give a tactical edge if used cleverly. This map can easily be played without the small trees mod. Well, you're in luck. I don't use small trees. It looks good. Let's take a look. Alright, so the hedgerows, definitely nice. We've seen this occasionally with the farmland theme. I remember one map in a previous contest that did this nicely with the hedgerows, and then I tried something somewhat like that for the map once too. It gives a very nice look. And the farm, these are just, it's just terrain only. Like, this is quite nice, also because the hedgerows are a terrain that's dirt on the minimap, so you see it. I like the visual appeal. You've got the little roads. Where is the gold? Yeah, this is probably why you would need more tweaking for competitive. If your gold is back here, now in this case it's super easy. You just plop a house here, and your gold is super safe. Can't be raided by anything ever, unless someone cuts their way through. But it's also hard to get to. I really like the visual appeal. It's probably not something that would be picked for competitive, but it definitely looks nice. It definitely gets the rolling hills countryside look. There's a burned mill, or just Gaia mill. No, I like the look. Definitely like the look. Maybe the starting resources are a bit far away. Let's generate another one. So these woodlands are interesting because you chop through them immediately and then you have access to new areas. Yeah, I'm also not sure if the neutral sheep are balanced. Like, this player has 3 sheep there. And then some sheep way up there. Well, this player has 5 sheep back there. And more in the front there, and more here. And more there. And more there. I think this is nice for casual and nice for visual appeal. Alright, what have we got next? Savannah Valley. We're going on to the S's some more. Let's grab the script for that. Savannah Valley, there we go. There's some other ones. Yeah. This one does various tree upgrades again, so after this one we'll restart the scenario editor again. And let's take a look. I see a nice looking rock formation in the center. And a fancy looking mini-map. Alright, so we're using these sort of semi-cluttered reeds. It's a baobab upgraded into reeds, that's what this is. Alright. Ooh, snow as well? Let's read the description. Players start on plateaus in the corners, direct placement. Snowy forested mountains in the back, yeah. You don't have a boar, not much gold, but you start with a full work at your fruit bushes. A full work is a thing, though. Only poles benefit from a full work, if I understand it correctly. But maybe for the visual appeal it's being included. The valley is a random pattern of many different lands, with some lakes and lots of food and gold. The center is some more stone guarded by wild vines, and we saw that. Woodlands in the valley are always passable because it's the baobab trees. It would be possible to redesign the map using no lands, but only terrains for the valley if this much randomness is not welcome. I think at least the 4 lakes on the sides are fixed placements in the terrain, and all their terrains are buildable. Yeah, so we have these 4 lakes. Those are always fixed at the edges. All of their terrains are buildable? Well, I guess this counts as being on the side. Let's see, this is buildable. This is buildable. Fair enough. I mean, this isn't buildable, but who cares? That's not a big deal. Let's take a look though. So we have our plateau, we have the folwark next to it. Have the folwark. We have the snowy mountains up on top. And then we have the sort of savanna valley down below. Oh. No, it's okay. Except here, where did the ponds go? Whoops. I think this is a map where the visual appeal is very nice. Maybe a bit too contrasting even, but I get that there are places in Africa where there actually are snowy mountains. This stuff here looks very nice. The flaming pits are also nice, or flaming fields. It's just a lot of contrasts of different areas and a very messy mini-map overall. I get what the author was going for here, but I also get why this probably wasn't, why this wouldn't have been chosen. Because it's a bit, it's perhaps too messy and a bit too random. The terrain's in the middle. This looks very nice. It's just, it doesn't have much clarity on the mini-map, and it's also sometimes a bit unpredictable with the different layouts. Like here you can have 2 fish in this corner, while this one has 4, and this one has 2 as well, and this one is missing its lake in the corner again. So it would probably need some edits to be used in competitive, but once again, looks very nice. Terrain transitions are well done. Hello there, thanks for joining. We are going through the contest submissions. And I think the next one that we have on the list is Mountain Coast, which I believe that one was picked. So let's take a look at that. The other thing to keep in mind, once we get to the ones that have been picked, such as this one, version 1, version 3, the download that I have is called a version 1. Let's load that one for now. Maybe I need to look at the other version afterwards. Also, because of the tree upgrades, actually I'm going to restart the scenario editor again. Let's load a new scenario. Yeah, 2v2. There we go. Let's try this again. We called this one Mountain Coast, didn't we? Not coast to mountain, but mountain coast. I have too many maps. I've already disabled most of my map packs, except my own. Alright. And let's grab the script for that as well. Mountain Coast. Mountain Coast 3 seems to be in some sort of, probably in the was the one, probably the edited version for the event. Yeah, some of these maps received edits, including my own, when they were used for the actual event. So let's quickly check what Mountain Coast has to offer. Some coast in the Arctic or Antarctic region. Depending on where bears or penguins can be changed or removed. Players start on shallow water with rich fish in the southeast of the map. Players of one team behind each other, close together. They start with a horse, a junk ship, and a dock. There's no wood close to the town center. All of the resources but fish are scattered on the mainland. The high elevation mountains. All Dark Age and Feudal Age buildings can be built on shallow terrain. Siege Workshop, Monastery, Castle, Wonder, Krepost, Feitoria, not. Those are not Feudal Age buildings except for, say, Cumans with Feudal Age, Siege Workshop, and so on. Ships, except trade cogs, fishing ships, only move 70% of their movement speed on shallows. Extra element is the top of the mountain chain. 2 trade workshops where you can train donkeys, trade unit, and villagers. 50 food, but 50-second training time, which change when players control them. And there are 2 markets. One is neutral, and one can be captured. So possibly, I don't know exactly. We'll check the version 3 map and see what they actually changed. Because that was a lot of stuff that we just heard about. I'm noticing the use of some very high elevation, which I approve of. I like the sort of contrasting areas where its areas not as snowy, the valleys and the other areas are more snowy. We have the markets and the trade workshop. Market and trade workshop. And we have our area down here with the junk and the dock and the fishing ships. So this is a very unique one. And this area is extremely mountainous. And this one was picked as one of the maps for the event. So let's take a look at let's generate it one more time. I think this one is a bit too wild in the layout overall for competitive. Probably this was why it was balanced out more. We'll take a look at the other version. But it's very unique, and it's also, I like the visual appeal here. Like the last one was a bit too cluttered, I felt, but this works from the visual appeal. Tough, though, to find anywhere to build in these mountains. So let's take a look at Mountain Coast version 3. So we have some more gravel around. I don't know if this was just a new version submitted. I'll check that, or if it was the version edited by probably the Mad Catter for the event. We have a larger, flatter area at the top. I think that's the main difference, is that this area, there's an actual flat area at the top too. The markets have been removed. We just have the Gaia trade workshops. So probably some of the bonus things like training units and so on might have been disabled as well. And then mountains aren't as wild from the layout. Also, I'm not seeing players. The other two players, maybe something changed with that, but generate another one of these. Yeah. I guess it's also a good lesson in how some small changes can make a map more balanced for competitive. But definitely a very nice map. Next up, we have Taniwa Coast. All right, let's look at that one. Also, I think, yeah, we're going to restart the scenario editor again for this. No, don't save changes. 2v2 load scenario. All right, 4 players. There we go. And what is this called? Taniwa Coast, based on the west coast of New Zealand, pronounced Tanefa. Oh boy, I really pronounced that wrong. Are sea monsters from the Maori Islands. Players start along the lush coast with bountiful seas to one side and rugged mountains to the other. So we have another mountain and sea type of theme, but this time with the other orientation. This is Gold Rush territory, and a giant seam of gold can be found running down the middle of the map. That is the new thing. Players are arranged in a line with the higher numbered colors spawning closer to the edge. Unlike the typical Gold Rush maps, the gold is found in a long, narrow strip, making it more difficult to lock down, potentially easier to tower. This map uses direct placement. Yeah, okay. Let's take a look at that. We have our line formation. I think this one was, I feel like this one was also chosen. I didn't manage to watch most of the event. But I feel like this one was also chosen and played. So we have this long golden seam here. I like that. That's a cool idea. Let's quickly check if it's buildable or not. Give me like a house or something, not a harbor, a donjon. Yeah, that's just cosmetic. This is actually, all of this is buildable. All right. Also make sure that we open the script. Did we do that? It was T. There we go. And we can close some of the other ones that we had open. Alright, we aren't upgrading anything here. Ooh, this is the same person who had the typos from before too. Yeah, it is. Green eggs, exactly. Very nice visual appeal. Especially with the different terrain mixing here. There are even some cliffs. Don't see very frequently. We have our snowy mountains. Mountains back here overall, what do they offer? Some stone and some gold to fall back to, I guess. And wood. Like, there's no need to immediately rush the gold. You do have some gold nearby. You don't have a huge amount nearby, though, I guess. Where's Green's TC, Blue's TC? I think this must have been fixed too by the Mad Catter for the actual one, because I feel like either one of these objects is in the way of the TC. That's no good. Better. No, I like the idea. It looks nice. Also with little mountainous slopes. Well done. Certainly some things to make sure that they don't go wrong, like the TC spot being blocked. I'm sure that can be fixed. What do we have next on the menu? And we have some comments about blah blah blah. Ah, no, we get to show my own maps. Haha. Urban Brawl. I won't spend too long on my own maps though, because I already know that one, I believe. After this, we're gonna have to restart too. So yeah, this is the Mega Gaia city. I will read the description though. Fight for control of a massive Gaia city. Most buildings will drop a small amount of stone when destroyed. Monasteries drop a relic. Markets and trade workshops will drop a larger gold pile when destroyed. Players can also trade with the Gaia markets instead of destroying them. Villagers can repair Gaia buildings, while military units can attack them, but don't do so automatically. The monument in the center generates resources, but is guarded by longswordsmen to prevent capture in the Dark Age. So you have your city. You start out with some farms, with a few resources, but all the extra stone and also extra gold will be obtained by raising the city. The idea is that you would fight in these alleys. It's probably hard to see stuff on the mini-map when an actual game is going on because of all the white Gaia on in there. Wood is all on the outside. I imagine that would be tricky. I didn't get to do much playtesting, but I did make sure everything worked, that all the buildings would drop resources and also that units wouldn't automatically aggro them. That's a problem that we had with previous Gaia cities. Is that military units will just attack all this stuff all the time. You can't control it all because they're busy attacking everything, but that won't happen here because I upgraded all of these buildings from walls, wall class units. Yeah, I don't know. At some point I want to see gameplay on this, but probably as a community game or something. This is an idea I had for a long time and finally got around to making it. Next, we have Docklands. Another one by me. For yours truly. There we go. Do I need to worry about stuff that I upgraded before? We'll restart it after my set of maps is through, I'd say. That would be a good time. Alright, description. A new take on islands. Each corner contains a Gaia dock for trade, and players have reduced starting gold. Neutral islands contain only stone. All lands are elevated, so ships will deal less damage to land units. Player islands contain the same amount of wood each. It's pretty straightforward. This is basically just islands with some neutral docks and the islands being elevated up. Yeah, Urban Brawl, that was fun to make, and I'm sure it'll be fun to play on at some point too. Definitely want to see that played. This is not so special, this one here, but I did a couple attempts at getting a Gaia docks map. This is one of them. They're the most standard of them. There's nothing too special. But it's basically trying to make Gaia docks a thing. These are all cosmetic, can be killed. They don't defend anything, and the dock can't be destroyed. What do we have next? Next I have Trade Winds, which is another map by me. That one was also trying to make the Gaia docks thing happen, basically. Mangroves border the outside of these islands and might allow players to wall in their docks and early lumber camps. Water control will be vital because most of the wood can be ranged. Players do start with a single infinite wood tree next to their TC, but only a limited number of villagers can gather from it. Either 2 or 4 Gaia islands are found on the outside of the map and offer the opportunity to trade with their docks. I think this one I actually partially made on stream too. Now here some stuff is weird, we actually do need to restart. Because I upgraded various things differently. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so you have this fancy Gaia island that has docks to trade with. And then the players have an island. They have these mangroves on it. That's probably not great for competitive to have all the mangroves on the outside where they can be easily ranged. The idea was that you could dock behind and it would be possible to wall in your dock, wall in your wood line a bit. Don't know. The visual appeal is quite nice. There were a lot of good maps submitted by everyone. Yeah, definitely. That's the thing. So like this map and some of the others too, I feel might not be exactly what's wanted for competitive, but look really nice. On the other hand, a lot of those can also be easily adapted to be competitive with just a few tweaks. We can go over the winners when we're done here. I don't have them memorized right now. Or you can look it up and tell us. I had some issues here with the islands weren't always consistent with how much of this middle area you actually get. It's tricky. These positions are randomized, but always offset the same amount. Fish Beach. That one was good too. Although, was that the one where you couldn't dock anywhere? I wonder if that was intentional or not. Hello. So our next map is going to be Formosa Strait. And that one is under F. I think we're also going to restart again. I upgraded a bunch of stuff here. Save changes. Nope. They swapped around the save changes and exit buttons between HD and DE, and it still confuses me. We need 4 players again. We said it was a Formosa Beach Strait. There we go. Aha! So let's see. All right. What do we have open? Currently we have the script for Docklands open. Oh, I didn't even open the other ones, did I? There you go. There's Urban Brawler. I closed it again. Trade Winds, but we can close both of those. We need the Formosa Beach. Formosa Strait. This one is also upgrading a fair amount of stuff. So we'll restart after we look at this one. And what have we got? Inspired by the outlines of the island of Taiwan and the Taiwan Strait, which separates the latter and continental Asia. Formosa Strait is the former name and sounds cool. Villagers surrounded by South Asian nature here grow rice instead of crops. Yeah, we saw there's an upgrade to the rice, to the rice farm. That's just... Actually, it turns terrain into water terrain, doesn't it? So that could be interesting for gameplay. It could have interesting gameplay implications to have villagers building rice farms everywhere and turning land terrain into hybrid water terrain. What else do we have here? Non-standard builds can be for a migration-like map where all villagers start on the same island. Yep. Non-standard builds can be performed here as one player on each team can use the monument to train villagers from it. Ooh, we have the villager training from monument idea again. We had that with a trade workshop before. While also moving to the next stages, you can train and gain some gold. Monuments are convertible. Players need to decide when the migration is more profitable. The island is big enough for at least 2 players, and losing the monument, though not crucial, is unfavorable. Map uses direct placement. Also, you should click to create villagers from monuments and task them, as the hotkey and gather point don't work properly. Alright, let's take a look at that. Also, we have something here. As the team will die on the starting island, that's the question. Let's take a look at the starting island. So the starting island has 2 monuments. Probably they are some other civilization's monument. Yeah, but they're going to look at like the Britons in the scenario editor. And you can train female builders from the monument. And we have modified starting resources. So this area, yeah, it's sort of like migration. I guess the thing is these monuments can train... Still the question of whether this will be relevant, whether the game just ends over here right away. You can always escape. Is it better to be over here? These are just cosmetic, I assume. That market can be traded with, but this also is probably just all cosmetic except for the market. And there's enough gold that you don't really need to trade with it. So yeah, I see the issue that this becomes like a tiny, basically a Socotra Dark Feudal Age battle with lots of fish. And this area, dubious if it even comes into play. I guess that would be a problem here. Yeah. Because what happens is you... I mean, you could dock, build a transport ship, and leave immediately. But you don't want to do that because that would just let... Either you both have to do it, or else your allies gets run over. And then you'd leave your opponents to have both wonders. Ah, they do. I saw the increased resources. But then you risk your opponents getting both wonders. Well, you're probably better off building a bunch of fishing ships at first and staying on the island. I mean, what would become the limiting resource? You have an acceptable amount of gold. Well, 2 piles, I guess, one for each player. A stone pile for each player. This is definitely enough to get you to Castle Age. And probably if you just say, alright, spend all your resources, immediately go over here and stay away from the coastline, you'd be way too far behind in a competitive setting. Tricky. It is always tricky to tell. You can do a lot of theory crafting about how things will play out, but this is very, very non-standard, so it's hard to say. I think if one player migrates instantly, the other player is at risk of getting overrun in feudal. It's hard to say though. You'd have to see it played multiple times to really get a good impression. Next up we have Relic Island. So we're going to look for that. Actually, we're going to restart scenario editor again. Load scenario. Right, no AI errors, please. Oh, why it sometimes does that. It's not that Relic Island. It's called JAS Relic Island. There we go. There's our Relic Island. With no gold to mine, players will need to take the relics from the rocky island or trade. Fortunately, there are trade posts in the 4 corners of the world awaiting for trade cards to come their way. Players start with a priest, a relic, and a monastery. Trade cards have reduced gold cost. Alright. So this is another map that tries to actually make trade a viable thing. You'll notice that there are, in fact, no gold mines around the players. You do start with 1 relic. The idea is that gives you a bit of a gold trick at the beginning. Let's see if the stats of this priest have been changed. If not, that's an issue. Probably. Let's take a look. Let's see. Okay. We will see. The priest... I don't know how much... A bit of it's cut off for you guys, but there's nothing really important that you're missing here. They have a range of 0, so that they can't convert. Yeah, okay, yeah. Basically, the priest is weak. That's fine. That does the trick. And then he gets better stats in feudal. I don't see any gold relic rate being changed. I mean, risky maps depend on the contest that you have. Like in some sort of contest that's mostly about where the maps are the central point, like Masters of RMS, you can take crazy things. But for some sort of relatively big event, otherwise you have to go a bit safe with ones that you actually pick for being played. That's also why your trade cards have reduced gold cost. Okay. So let's see. Did I miss anything else here? No, we read it. Okay. So you put in the relic, you get a gold trickle at the beginning. That needs to survive you until you can go pick up relics. I assume you can't build anything there. Let's always double check that type of thing. No, let's build a palisade wall, not a pagan shrine. No, you can build on the coastline. That's probably not a thing where you actually wall it in or so. That you could theoretically, but that then the opponents can just destroy palisade with ships. That's not a viable thing. You can dock the middle though. Well, I think like the stats of the priest were basically used from Holy Cup, right? Yes, it is a similar trying to do a similar idea again. We had the Holy City, which was basically this idea but surrounded by a city. I think the reason actually why you don't select this is probably because it's a civ win for certain civs. Something like Aztecs or Burgundians are just a must-have. Although you have trade, supposedly. No, you do have the trade. The trade line is covered in forests, but it'll do. You don't have a great trade line, but yeah, that's... What you could do is you could start playing with the market as well. in addition to the monastery. Then they can immediately trade. Although, yeah, that could be an idea. Water control is certainly really important. This is a large enough amount of relics that you can't leave them to your opponents. So do you just like wall to the edge, fight for water? Probably. I think that's the game plan. Although here, because this area is smaller than Holy City, it's harder to wall, but I think you still just wall to the edge. 1, 2, and then you fight for the center with ships. Interesting. Like, this is another one of those where it's hard to say how it would play out without actually seeing it played. For a lot of them, it's, you can sort of judge it. Overall, terrain blending outside here is nice. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Hard to say how it would actually play out. Next, we have Petrified by the same. Yep, well, I think this person made 5. I like the idea already. Let's take a look. A mountainous region magically turned into stone. All forests are on rocky terrain that cannot be built on. So you can't quick wall your forests once you start chopping into them. The rockiness of the ground makes construction more difficult, and clearing fields for farms a significantly longer process. This map was inspired by the legends of Medusa and of basilisks. Alright. What has been changed to make farms take longer? We have... Alright, we have builders have builders have a lower work rate. Farms have a longer construction. Alright. Building work rate has changed. Farms have a longer construction time. I'm not a huge fan of modifying too many things in the game data. This type of stuff certainly makes for unique gameplay, but can be difficult for players to learn. Pro players are mostly not the type to go read map guides, as in to see what information is in it. They load in and they think, alright, it's Arabia. And you don't want to make things too complicated. That was, the Holy Cup was already seen as pretty gimmicky. For the visual appeal, I wonder, are there any other dead trees you can mix into that? You can mix in the brown tree that has brown leaves. You want one for? Oh, actually, okay. You can see where the forests are because they're on the different colored on the dirt rather than the desert terrain. That works. It has more cliffs than modern Arabia. No, I like the theme, the Rocky map theme. I made one of those for Resurgence, but here, like, the theme works. I'm skeptical about all the changes to the game data changes. Maybe that's just a personal thing. Gold, boars, berries. Resources seem standard. There's a boar. Also, woodlines being impossible to wall. I mean, it's what Land Madness goes for, but even worse. Actually, no, I assume... Let's try something. Give me like a stone wall, maybe? No, palisade wall. Let's do palisade. Alright, so yeah, you can wall in at first, but the problem is as soon as you start chopping these, you can't wall those anymore. Interesting. You don't. You have inefficient... Well, you move it to the side. You could allow lumberjacks on any type of terrain, but it hasn't been done. So what happens here is you have to put it somewhere else, or you just have long distance chopping. Farms can be built anywhere, they're just built more slowly. If I read the description properly. You can't build them on the rock, but you can build them anywhere else. You could have it so that you can only build farms here. You could do that. Farms change the terrain that they're under, too. That's another interesting point. I don't know. Interesting, definitely unique. What else do we have on offer? Do we care? Petrified. Yeah, okay, we can close that. We can close that. Next up on our list is Great Lake. We are going to go Great Lake. This one doesn't change too many attributes. Just Great Lake. Alright, time to read the description. A large, shallow lake takes up a quarter of the map, hiding many treasures and an island far from the shore. Each team starts on their own land, separated from their opponents by a wide, shallow river that units can wade across. Clumps of trees are scattered around and crocodiles lurk in the shallows. I see some lurking crocodiles. I see the reeds. I think the river always goes to the same corner. Well, now that we say that, this is not a fair division of land masses. Look at all the wood that this team gets. Not that wood will be particularly limiting. These woodlines are really small, I'm noticing. Like, these are like Atacama style woodlines. That's rough. Then again, there's so many of them that it is easy to wall. Maybe. Tough. And we have this island here. This one has the relics. And then there are more relics on these little bits. So probably you could have just put all the relics here, maybe. Maybe. Or make sure that they're a bit more evenly spread out, like this poor red and yellow team. Gonna have a tough time getting to a lot of the relics. So buildable is the desert. It's basically shallows. You can't build a mill on it. You also can't build a gate on it. You can build a dock on it. This is basically, it's shallow water. Units can walk over it. So realistically, what you do on this map is you small wall yourself. And then you play it. I don't know, these wood lines are... There's so many of them. You go for water. You have to go for water, right? Because there is water. Okay, one thing that's going to be rough for competitive. Look at the number of lions and crocodiles on the coastline. Like, pro players will be losing villagers to docking villagers left and right to these lions. Like in the middle, yeah, fair enough. But here with the lions and the crocodiles? Pros will be losing their docking villagers left and right. And you also can't quick wall them in because this is shallow. The animals just run around. Yes. Mangrove shallow. Well, technically no. Mangrove shallow, but also you can also build on mangrove forest once it's been chopped down, because that's basically just mangrove shallow underneath it. You can build on depleted mangrove farms. But yeah. All right. Trade routes. Trade routes, you secure against part of the map edge. That's true. That having this river be different could be a problem there. I don't think it's a big issue. There seems to be enough gold to start out with. Now, what this map could use is a bit more variety. Like this area could use a mixture of terrains, some terrain masking, could use some different forests, maybe. It looks a bit too monotonous. I don't think trade would come into it that much. So what you do is you basically, despite all the predators, you get loom and you still build a dock right away because they're fish. And then you play it like a map with water and land, like a hybrid map. Then you just go scouts and archers and I don't know. These wood lines are super small. This could have some more nicer terrain mixing, I would say. Next map on our list is Whirlpool Island. Or you send your scout with your villagers, or you send 2 villagers. Early dock is worth the risk because you want fishing ships to boost your economy. Oh boy, this one looks fun. Alright. I've learned that basically pro players will dock on any map that has fish, almost. You have to really have so little fish for them not to do it, or make it really risky. Alright, Whirlpool Island, an island in a whirlpool. Players start on their own island outside of the whirlpool, but will need to move to the magical island in the middle of the map. The island has jungles, plenty of food, and fierce jaguars. Relics are plenteous, that's plentiful, with 2 on each starting island, and there are more in the middle. The waters are filled with plenty of fish. Alright, Bermuda Triangle is what this is based on. Yeah, not everyone has English as their native language. So this is migration, but I mean, water map migration, but most of the area that you can migrate to is in range of the water. Like I think this is more of a fun community game type of thing. You know, free for all or something like that, sure, but like green can safely build a TC there and is not in range of the water. Blue lands here, barely has room to build a TC at all, and is going to be constantly harassed by ships that even have a hill bonus against them. Yellow might be able to build a dock here, but is going to have the resources being harassed. Red might be able to build a safe TC. The other things that this map could use are, well, generally most modern competitive maps have more balanced fish distributions. This looks more like the classic AOC fish distribution, which is honestly fine for a community map, but not for one that you want to have used in an event. The issue here is that ships will have a hill bonus and can just range your potential migration landing sites. Like here, once again, yellow. Like this time, red would have some really nice spots to migrate to. And who lives here? Blue can migrate into that pocket. But then you see your gold is still being ranged. That's really tough. Yeah, you can do that. I mean, it's fish distributions are easy to make standard spread out, but given that this map wasn't going to be selected anyway, I think that's not a thing that needs to necessarily be changed, because it looks fun, but it's fun for casual gameplay. It's mainly just the fact that water is too dominant, and it sometimes can be tough to find a good spot for a TC. Yeah, exactly. You do min-distance group placement on each set of fish. And you can do some temp distances first, and then you fill up the rest of the holes that are still left with an excess of fish, and then it works out. It's not too hard to do that. You can copy some code from just about anywhere. I like the idea, but it's not competitive. Here, this ships would be way too strong. That's what you place you place the fish last, so it's fine to do that. I could even show some fish code. No, we're not going to be distracted here. We have maps to get through. All right. Ooh, geothermal valley. I get to show my maps again. G. It's under Z, isn't it? It's under Z. Removing the war galley tech, but it's a water map. It's a water map too. It's kind of just tough. I think you just have to have it be more of a casual map, or you sort of rebalance the forest distribution in the middle to make sure players can always settle further inland where they're not being ranged. Also, what that map needs is some terrain mixing on the water. So next up is Geothermal Valley by yours truly. Steaming valley nestled among frozen forests. Players start close together in the center, with the team separated by a long wood line. All other forests are on the outside, while most resources are concentrated near the player's starting areas. Gold and stone are clustered around geothermal vents, so players will need to be especially vigilant in guarding these sites. Basically, it's Frozen Hamburger, more or less, with some nice thematic elements. Inspired actually by the Geothermal Valley in the Tomb Raider games. I watched these being played because it was my map, and they had done some changes to them to make these vents spawn more consistently, to have 4 for each player, 1 close and 3 a bit further away, and to have the gold and stone singly around them. When I submitted it, it had them all spread out like this. So that wasn't so fair because you weren't guaranteed to have the same. Well, actually, you weren't guaranteed to have the same number, but I had each player's normal gold and stone near ones that were close to them. So the Mad Catter reworked that, and then I used those changes today when I was updating the map. Do a bit of a better job there. So that's one thing that can be more consistent. The other thing that can be more consistent that they also changed was to have this gold occur a bit more frequently and to be 3 tiles. But yeah, it's basically Frozen Hamburger in a valley. Lots of tower fights. And because there were double berries, see lots of Franks. Yep, Nova was streaming. He's streamed a lot of my stuff, so I watch his streams a lot. Yeah, I'm not going to say too much more. I did update this today to match the one that they actually used in the event, so it's... I gave it little small vents too, and made it so that it works for any player size, because the one in the event only works for 2v2 and otherwise just doesn't work at all. Next up, we have... Oh, I submitted Canberra. I did do that, yes. Some guy called Nova AOE. Let's see here. The capital of Australia, now featuring more roundabouts than ever before. It's an existing map of mine. I've added circular walls, basically. Yeah, about that. I was working more on the circular walls, and ultimately I wasn't happy because they were bugging out sometimes. So I got rid of them again for now. I still need to work on that. It's really tough. I found a way. I think it works nicely in the 2v2, but in 1v1 the players are too close to the middle. So the middle interferes with the min distance to group placement that I'm using to block. Like the whole round walls are an absolute hack. I'm placing individual wall tiles for this segment, forcing there to be a gap where the gate's going to be, placing the normal wall, but blocking the normal wall from being anywhere except where the gap is, so that the normal wall produces a gate. It's incredibly hacked together. It actually seems to work on 2v2, but it doesn't work on other sizes that well. Or it wasn't working on 1v1. I had to remove it again for now. I also want to make a circle arena too, but this is going to require some more brainstorming and debugging. The thing is, I'm not placing the gate, I'm placing a whole wall. I can show that briefly. So we had Geothermal Valley, we can close that, we can close Whirlpool Island. But we can show, where is it? There it is. The other thing is that the round walls didn't work until the most recent update, So at the time when I was making them, it only worked on the pup build, so I added this thing here that only activated it if this new attribute was in the game, in the random map def. But it's a bunch of placeholders and stuff. It needs more work. Yeah, with actor areas in a circle it would be easier. It's tricky because walls are hard-coded to be square if you just place walls normally. If I fix the position of the gates, maybe. It's tricky. In any case, it's a nice map. It didn't win, though. It has been used before. That's something that goes against it. It was used in Outback Rumble. It was also used in an Empire Wars event that I wasn't involved in. There we go. Lots of fish in the middle. It's a cool map. And the round walls will be coming back once I figure out how to do it. And make it not buggy on any size. Next up, we have Thar Desert. This one seems familiar too. The usual suspects. Alright. What's it called? ECK. Thar Desert. Nope, not Labyrinth. Labyrinth looks... This one was nominally used in... Well, was used in World Desert Championship. But supposedly it's been changed, and superficially it's the same layout. You have these wet rivers that you can sail up on the sides. On both sides you have the back area that you can retreat to if your team is being pressured, and you can build trade on it. You have the water that you can go for. I'm not sure actually what's... This is just... It doesn't seem very different from the one that was used in WDC, honestly. I know it's supposedly different. Maybe one of these forests wasn't there, but I feel like both of those existed as well. It's a nice map. It's a good map, but I think that was probably taken against it. Superficially, yes. There are a fair amount of fish. Thar Desert. What do we say here? Description. Desert in western India that has at least one major river, and a second if you go far enough back in history. With each team having a river and gold-rich woods behind. And the open stony desert is between them as the primary battleground. Both rivers are guaranteed to be navigable from the ocean to the far edge of the map, but are also guaranteed to be wallable near the ocean to prevent ships from attacking in the rear. It has never been used as a 2v2, this is true. Next up is one actually that looks more interesting. Let's take a look at Labyrinth. That one I want to see. Yes. Yes, this looks awesome. Probably not competitive, but what the heck. Let's go. Labyrinth. Mere models of civilization are locked in a game of empires played by the French nobles in the hedge maze gardens in the Palace of Versailles. Easy choke points, plentiful resources, and a nightmare of unit pathing all call for innovative strategies and players with a penchant for chaos. This looks cool. Oh ho ho! Nice. I can understand why it wasn't picked because it's too unconventional. And yeah, the pros would look at this and be like, ew, but fun. So you have a ring of berries, then you have a ring of forest, and you have a ring of gold and a ring of stone. And there's one or two passages out. For each of those, maybe only one through the berries, two through everything else. And then you have a bunch of rings of trees. So, gameplay-wise, the problem is here for this is that there isn't enough building space. That's what you run into here. You build a barracks, you can build a house there and the path is blocked. You build a barracks here, the path is blocked. You try to build farms at all, okay, you can collect berries, don't build farms, but you build a mining camp anywhere here. That would be a problem gameplay-wise. The hedge mazes don't turn up on the minimap. That tells me that these are in fact objects, which makes sense too. But that means that you can palisade delete them, likely. If you want to get through. It will be very cumbersome. It's cool. Definitely something to play with friends for fun. I have an old maze, I never updated it for DE. A forest maze that uses negative clumping factor to do something somewhat similar. Yeah. Nice. Nice. But of course, yeah, no way that was going to be picked, but it's very, very cool. We have Black Swamp coming up next. Alright, let's take a look at Black Swamp. And we're going to want the code for that. Alright. The twisting forest passages are reminiscent of the Black Forest in Germany, but here beside the Great Lakes they are flooded with amphibious terrain in many places with pools of good fishing. But be careful, not all water is connected, and committing too much water military in one passage could well leave you exposed in another. This sounds like the type of maps I like to make that aren't competitive, just from the description, or that aren't as competitive. Sort of like what I did for Random River, that type of thing. Which is kind of what's happening here. Essentially, I guess the player lands are elevated, and then you have some hills, and those are sticking out of the water, and everything that's not on a hill is water. But a lot of the water is mangrove terrain, or buildable mangroves, but not all of it. This is cool too. This is, once again, another fun one. You know, it's basically a black forest with water. Another take on that idea. Like my Black Forest rivers, except here it's sort of black marshes. Yeah, no, it's nice. But also too inconsistent to be picked for use in a tournament, unless it's a tournament that's specifically aimed at that type of thing. Because, you know, some players might be able to dock, some players might be able to dock and not have as many fish nearby. Okay, there's still some fish. But you might have narrow passages all over the place. Definitely a good thing for casual Black Forest fans, but even reminds me of like Minecraft swamps, sort of. Yeah. Next up, we have Fishbowl. This is one I've seen before. There we go. Grab the code for that one. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I have actually talked about this before, and it's the same map. I don't remember which event it was, which contest it was entered in, but I've talked about this one on stream before. Same criticisms as before. More terrain mixing, please. More forest variety, maybe, but some terrain mixing or something, please. About the previous map, with the water making it harder to wall, a lot of the water was mangrove shallows, so you could actually just wall it anyway. Of course, you can use ships against the walls, but only a few little pockets were actual deeper than mangrove water. So this map, the idea is that the outside is completely unwallable, and you fight for the inside, but ultimately it hasn't changed that much since I last looked at it. It still just needs a bit more visual appeal, maybe some interesting things on the outside, like eye candy or something. If there were shallows instead of mangrove terrain, then it would be a lot harder to wall that map. Here, wood isn't even that sparse. It's basically Arabia, but the outside is open. And, okay, the frozen ones and black ones have been disabled. Let's go to the next one. What else have we got here? All right, hope I pronounced this correctly. Te Waipanamu. I surely pronounced that incorrectly, but Te, maybe it's Te, not Te. Te. Te Waipanamu. Oh gosh. I need it. This one was picked. Wasn't this one of the ones that was chosen? I feel like it was. Te Waipanamu. That's not correct. That is not close to correct. Maybe it is correct. And I'm just really good at pronouncing things by looking at them. Anyway, let's read the lengthy description. This map represents the South Island of New Zealand with its highly diverse geographic features and vegetation. Teams are separated by a high mountain range. Yep. The shortest way through your opponent is to cross the range through one of the mountain passes. The mountains contain rich resources, mainly gold and stone. The rocky terrain allows for buildings to be placed on top of the mountain, but prevents full walling. Okay, we'll take a look at that. I guess they're bits of rocky terrain. At home, players have standard resources, mixed forests. Map is surrounded by water representing the Tasman Sea and the Pacific Ocean, containing various species of fish and dolphins. You may find penguins occasionally. That's okay. Gold and stone, and the player bases are limited, similar to Golden Pit, forcing the players to move to the center. This comes with the usual question, do you occupy the center early? Okay, basically Gold Rush type question. And there's water control to fight for as well. Alright, it's set up for 2v2. Let's take a look. So, Well, let's start with the harsh criticism. First of all, there are way too many penguins. This is not an occasional penguin. They're all over the place. No, I guess you upgraded some deer or something. Let's take a look. That's still a fishbowl. It's the black swamp. There's the labyrinth. Alright, the ostrich has been upgraded to a penguin, and it's been given various stats. Alright. Yeah, I mean, the actual penguins are a real beast. 4/4 armor. Now, what you could do, the outside, you could mix some water terrains on the outside. But let's take a look at the middle. Middle looks nice. Supposedly this is not full wallable. Let us take a look at that. Give me a fortified palisade wall. Alright. Well, it's not completely wallable because there seems to be an edge here. Just an edge along the outside. Probably hiding behind my large trees as well, yeah. Yeah, okay, so the middle, this... Well, there's just some random clumps that aren't wallable. No, the middle is wallable, it's just the outside. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, he changed all of the contest winners somewhat and improved them. It's worth taking a look actually what he did and considering if you want to implement those things into your map. I did that for Geothermal Valley. Yeah, okay, and that's unwallable too. So yeah, gameplay wise you have sort of this U shape of water that you can fight for. You're elevated though, so that helps against water. Standard-ish stuff at home, sure. I like the forest mixture. Very much approve of that. Always a fan of forest mixing. These lakes are basically cosmetic. I guess the question is these passages. You kind of do have to fight for them eventually. Or you just set up your trade cogs for gold. This might be the map for trade cogs, honestly. Because basically... Yeah, I think... Oh, there's actually something weird about these trees. Did you put in a bunch of stragglers? This looks like a bit of forest and a bunch of stragglers. But I guess that looks fine. Players won't be Palisade deleting that too much. Difficult to wall. Yeah, interesting. Also because you have 2 golden hills. Right, some of this stuff could be standardized a bit more. Like this team would have 1 stone and a bit of gold, while the other team can just wall here and has a bunch of stuff. I guess the nice thing though is that you do have two gold rushes, so you can have more control on one and less on the other. Although realistically, it's probably these 2 players fighting for the bottom one, these fight for that one. Definitely interesting. I didn't watch this map being played, but I saw streams where it was. Yeah, probably a bug. There we go again. It's bugging out. No. Now, looks good. What do we have next on offer? We should be getting towards the bottom of this list soon. We have Frozen River. And it has some sort of prefix, doesn't it? M Frozen River. M African River. M Frozen River. There we go. Well, we could also have a melted river. Frozen River. What do we do here? We've allowed... Change the terrain ID for town centers. and mills and palisade walls and towers. But did we define donjons? We did, alright. This is, yes, correct. So let's read the description. Frozen River features a nomad start with 6 villagers trapped inside a forest and 4 villagers close to the river. Oh no. Players can choose to build their TC inside the forest or on the ice. The river contains shorefish and deep fish, and a lot of gold is spread out along the shoreline. Okay. So, trapped villagers. And this looks to be actual forest terrain, so you can't palisade delete it. But you can probably get through pretty quickly if you focus on a corner. Alright, and then you have villagers here who can build on the ice. And the villagers are close to a nice spot that has a bunch of shorefish around where it's suggested that they build, basically. You could also just build the TC on gold. But the idea is that you build it there. Which I question if you actually want to do that or not. Maybe just build a mill and build the TC somewhere we have gold and wood. The other thing is immediately you have to build a bunch of houses because you're going to be housed when it starts. Right, unless some housing space has been given. Nah. Interesting concept. Interesting concept. This is a tempting spot though, right, with all the shorefish. Is it worth having a TC though that's only on food? Huh. You take Kumans, you build one TC here, you chop your way through, send everyone to get shorefish, get to Feudal Age, build a second TC in there. I don't know. Interesting. Interesting ideas. What have we got next on offer? Nord Fjord. Alright. It's called Nord Fjord. Yeah. I like the minimap, although it's a bit messy. This looks cool. I mean, before having read anything, this looks cool. It's like water has flooded this a little bit. That's a really nice effect. I might have to use that at some point. Like, that actually looks believable. I'm gonna take a screenshot. Alright, description. From rocky coast to high mountains and other coast to mountains, this map features the beautiful scenery of Norway. Players of a team start close to each other and are partly separated by the other team, from the other team by a fjord that doesn't contain much fish. Doesn't contain as much fish as one suspects. Many skerries make navigation difficult. That's a word that I have not heard of, but it's probably the little rocky outcroppings. On land, groups of deer are scattered around, but be aware of predators when going for a hunt. The map uses direct placement and only works for 2v2. Alright, let's take a look. Actually, shall we try something? I don't normally play with 3D water. It's not going to work anyway because we generated a bunch of stuff. Okay, never mind. It probably looks different there, but let's take a look. So we have our fjord. I really like this, basically. This is well done. It looks incredibly believable. And then you have, you know, a couple nice Gaia scenery things around too with our priest there, yeah. And the terrain levels here, this looks quite nice. This was made, does it say in the script? Probably. Made by someone called Pelle Lundqvist. Oh, I don't have the script open. I have Mishi open. Ha. I wonder. Fjord. There we go. Oh yeah, his name is, or their name is Pelle Lundqvist. Well, he also wrote in his thing, I'm new to scripting and I'm curious to hear your opinions. Is this person watching right now? I don't think so. Anyway. Very nicely done for someone who's new to map scripting. Yeah. Ooh, some reeds. Where did those reeds come from? Nice. No, let's take a look. We sort of have these back mountains that are a bit higher up. So they're really going for the different terrains at different elevations. That's done quite nicely. The actual water navigation could be tricky with these rocky outcroppings. But I have to say I'm very partial to this effect. That's blending that I haven't seen before, but looks quite nice. Yeah, exactly. That was what was said in the description too. Let's just, yeah, this is just water. The other thing that's interesting, this looks like rock terrain to me, so it's probably not buildable. Take a look. Palisade gate. Nope. So you can't wall all of these rocks. Oh, is this? Yeah, we need. Give me a palisade wall. Yeah, basically the actual rock terrain isn't, so you won't be able to wall in your docks. Let's just make sure you can dock. According to the description, it doesn't. I will check that in a moment. These rocky outcroppings can't be walled, but you only have a few of those. Try a dock too. It is dockable. Ooh, this is also dockable. Okay. Now the description in Discord said Mac uses direct placement and currently only works for 4 players and 2 teams. And what else is it doing? It's upgrading baobab trees into African bushes. Into the snowy African bush, I think. And the priest has a range of 0. Yeah, okay. It basically would need to be set up for other sizes. Apparently it only works for 4 players. In fact, it only works for 4 players. It doesn't work for 2 players either. And someone created a lot of lands here. Quite a lot of lands. I thought that this was actually not so land-based, but it is. That's the type of thing you would like, someone using a huge amount of lands to create stuff. Then we have terrain being fixed. I'm surprised with all of these lands that the objects spawn fine. They do. The lands do contain some R&D. You can't see it because I didn't scroll over enough. Or because I don't have Notepad covering too much of the screen. Yeah, it is a lot of lands. All right. Actually, it's generated with Madlands. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have scroll. Ometepe by Biz. All right, that's a long description. Let's load it in first. Actually, should we? Let's give us a new. Let's load a new 2v2 again. All right. Ometepe. Tepe. There we go. Ooh, this one's taking a long time to load. Alright. Real world location. Map is symmetrical for both teams. Each teammate has different roles. Players are given a non-combat horse and a transport ship instead of a scout. Since geography is predictable, resources are slightly randomized, especially for both teams. The resource distribution aims to provide varying incentives for spending resources in different areas. There is a normal opening, but randomization should lead to more variance in the mid and late game. It's easy to adjust by changing the percentage chances of each option. All right. Oh. So we have various possible resource distributions. And we have some lands. And some direct placements. Alright. Let's take a look around. Here we have 2 players on islands connected to each other with all the resources that they need. And then we have 2 players on the mainland. So it's similar to that one migration map that we had, except that the other set of players here is on the mainland. And there are pits of stone. They have stone as well. And there's a gold pit. And some of these resources can be randomized, so let's just generate it again. It's kind of slow to generate here. Okay, this time there's a land connection rather than a shallow one. That means ships can't sail through, and we have 2 gold pits and only 1 stone pit. And the shape is different. And we have a berry pit. Interesting. Like, I think a lot of thought went into making this. Yeah, basically this is sort of the food pit here. These players essentially need to go for water. While these players might dock as well, but need to work on securing a slice of this mainland. It's essentially 2 1v1s, actually, is what you have. More or less. With the option of helping each other on water a bit, but there's some crocodiles there sometimes. Let's see, how's our... This time it's a relic pit in the middle instead of a food pit. There's definitely some randomization in that, and the stone pits are closer to the sides. So yeah, this is a good take on how to make a fixed position map still require scouting, because that's the problem with a lot of modern maps, if that's the right word to say. Basically, a lot of maps designed for competitive are just so static that you really hardly need to scout. But this is 2 1v1s. That's perhaps the main criticism that I could find here. The terrains, everything is, you know, super nice. But it will play out as 2 1v1s, maybe some helping on water, but it's not like you're going to transport your scouts or archers to the other player, right? These 2 players are going to fight on land and maybe have fish here, and these 2 players are going to fight on water and wall off the middle. It does allow for a team where you have one player who likes water and one who doesn't to set up their roles properly. Oh, we had another shallows. The shallows passage seems to be pretty rare. The shape, this time the relic thing is in the corner, and we have the food pit again. And the pit, these pits have both gold and stone. Well, yeah, you can just have enough different directly placed things that it's not predictable. That is certainly doable. Just a lot of maps don't go for that. And I've been guilty of it in Many people are, where the map is essentially we've seen that for a lot of the ones that we looked at today, where it's the same layout more or less every time, including basically most of the ones that won, right? All those that didn't win, where I said, this isn't very competitive, those are the ones that actually do require scouting. What have we got next? We need to keep going. Oh no, are we at the bottom of the list? I think we are at the bottom of the list. We are. So what I'm going to do is briefly, let's take a look at who won briefly. Terra Nova Duos. You can now give any unit the ability to auto-scout. So I've done that on maps where I have special things. So we had Mountain Coast was a winner. Then we had Geothermal Valley. Then we had Te Waipoponamu. Then we had Fish Beach. And then we had Costa do Ouro. I feel like that was called something different when it was submitted. Or maybe it was the golden one, though. Yeah. Alright. So all of those are being used in Terra Nova Duos. Do take a look at that. I am going to take a short break to drink something, rest my voice. Yes, that was. And then we are going to continue with the Resurgence. Ooh, not any. The unit needs to have a unit AI. Like, I tried to give a relic card an auto scout. That didn't work, but like a penguin can auto scout. It's the traits attribute. You give it trait 16. And you can give your Photon Man, your Penguin, your Lightus the ability to auto scout. It has to be a unit that you have at the start of the game, not one that you train later on. But you can give you also, villagers I think won't auto scout. They might get the button, but they won't actually do it. So you can't do it like Empire Earth did it, where any unit can auto scout. Yep, thanks for joining. I'm going to take a break as well, and it's kind of late, but I want to actually do the Resurgent ones too, so I think I'm just going to plop up an overlay. It was added in the recent update, yes. And then we'll be back and take a look at the Resurgence maps in like 5 minutes. So if you're not having to go to bed or head off, do consider sticking around. And we can answer more questions and so on. I won't get too sidetracked, hopefully. There we go. Overlay. See you soon.